Good afternoon, people. Out we go to the workshop. I was going to do quite a bit more work before I made a video, but I thought to heck with it. I'll make one now as a incremental, record and observation. Now, just let me correct the gimbal so I know where it's pointing. Oh, before we get to the topic of the video, I started gluing up some of these panels the other day, or this morning rather, that I'd cut the other day, and I made an observation straight away. What a pain in the neck. And I don't know what I've done wrong, but I've glued it up, and I've tilted some of the classing strips, so it's like, damn. Don't know why that happened. But it has, because all the cuts are dead square, so it can only be in the clamping process. The more I do of this, in this instance, the less I like it, and I'm thinking the clamping system that I'm contemplating creating might be a good thing to do sooner rather than, well, one of the first things, perhaps, is a better way of saying it, when I make the bench dog holes and arrangements. These here are the strips, and I've I'm going to say pleased with the accuracy, obviously they should be, of the alignment of the holes, and that's how they came, like that. And I gave them a bit of a wriggle because I just had that plastic wrap around it just to hold it together, and I've run a 10mm hole through the laser cut holes and put a couple of bolts in there. One thing I did notice is that they've got a little bit of a round. It's probably part of the process of, when they cut it, that it either relieves the tension in the sheet metal or sheet steel, or the heat itself creates that curvature. It's not much, but it will need to be addressed. We're going to, excuse my croaky throat, just come back out here. I'm going to have to straighten them, then ream the hole or drill the holes out. Now, and that was the reason for the video, is that I've started doing that to the steel plate. This is one of the options I've got with the approach, is that I've already mentioned about this, but I've got this plate here, same thickness, 10mm thick, and I've got a series of holes here at, logically, 25mm spacings, and here at 20mm spacings. I'm not too certain why or when I'll use those, but having them is better than not having them and wishing I had them. You kind of get it. And of course, these ones here on a 45, just as these ones here, etc. are, and it allows me to make up plates for clamping or something with those other divisions or increments. So that's what we're doing there. What I'm doing is I'm just looking on the box that I'm drilling it out with a 12 or 12.5mm bit before I get to the 13mm drill bit. I had the laser company cut the holes at 10mm. I wanted to be able to sneak up on the hole size for the tapping of it, which is 13mm, because they did make the comment that when they laser cut, they have a thin bit or area that's heat hardened because of the temperature of the laser going through 10mm steel. It does heat up the area of the laser cut, which is apparently 0.2 of a mil or some such measurement. So I wanted to cut into the steel and hopefully remove the heat or the hardening of the surface before I thread the holes. Hopefully that's what I'm doing. when I didn't want to get them to cut it at 13 millimeters because they're not 100% dead, like circular and smooth. So I wanted to be able to achieve that in the workshop with this bit. So that was why we're doing that. Then I'm going to, so this is the start of it. Still have to drill these out. Then I'll have to redo them all again with the 13 mil. But boy, you certainly get a lot of these, what do you call it, swarf or whatever you want to call it, offcuts, and they whip around pretty well. Must mean that either the steel's not that hard or the drill bit's not badly, it's not bad for sharpness. So happy for that be the case, but you've got to be a little bit careful that the sprags or the swarf doesn't whip around and cause you a grievous harm. But there's a lot of it. So yeah, quite happy with that. Thoughts on it? I don't know. As I said, it's a record. It's a Dave Diary type entry. I had the equivalent of this in the lighter form, which I've shown previously. Actually, I'll go grab it. I will go grab it. I had it here. Is it still here? Yes, it is. And what we've done there is pretty much a lesser version of the plate for those increments as well. So the 25 millimeter holes here were just 4 mils, and I was using that as my guide for my drill. Of course, that's a patently stupid way of doing it, but nonetheless, that's what I did back in the day when I knew no better. But it's also the theory being that if I have the holes, the 20 millimeter holes in the plate, I could then put this plate in the 20 millimeter position, put a bench dog in it, and then drill the other ones. Good theory, but now with the wee bit more knowledge, it's better to create a matrix or an area with the required spacings, drill them out, put a bushing in them, it's like do the thread and then put the bushing in it, and then you can locate it in the appropriate place, put pins, registration pins in it, and then if necessary drill these other ones at the 25 or the 20 millimeter spacing. So that was the theory there. Nice and heavy for certain, and the beauty is this is not a sacrificial plate. The bushings are. So if anything untoward happens, it happens to the bushings, which are replaceable. This stays pristine, as pristine as I can get it in this workshop. Ditto here. The plates that I'd had, which actually I've just moved them the other day because they're no longer needed. I stuck them over in the corner. But the plates that I had was also, they had the 100mm spacings for the holes, but they were 4 millimeters again. The drill bit was guided by the steel, which is patently a stupid way of doing it. So this one, once more, just repeating myself, I know, but these will be drilled out, tapped, and then the guide bushings will go in it. And if anything is sacrificial, it's the guide bushings, which is, well, hopefully not sacrificial anytime soon, can be replaced should it be required. Plus, and here's the big benefit for me and why I reference the PAF system and Peter's development of that, and it is the best system on the market that I've seen, short of the CNC machined holes that you can get. But the claim to fame for this, or just the benefits was what I'm really saying, is that I can put different sized bushings in there, which is exactly what I'm going to do when I do the MFT holes, or the top, or that style of top. I'm not cutting 20 millimeter holes. I will do eventually, but this will be set up with the bushings with a 4 millimeter bush hole size, and I'll be spot drilling the tops using a center bit. like you use in lathe, so the body of the center bit is 4 millimeters, but it's got a 1 millimeter pilot hole. So I can go along and just make a mark in the melamine with that sort of setup, and then I can grab the 20 millimeter hole in the whole jig and bit, and I can then locate that tip in that small refined or fine spot drilling on the melamine itself, and then drill the 20 millimeter holes. I think that's better. The reason I'm saying I think with some slight, emphasis, is that the fineness of the hole permits the 20 millimeter holes, bit to better locate rather than drilling straight through. I don't have that facility in this. This is where the PAF system is much better. But again, the claim to fame or the claim of benefit here is I can do a whole row of holes, 16 holes, in one go. They'll be marked all in one go, so that never moves. Whereas the PAF system is that you have to locate it, drill your holes, move it forward, drill the holes, move it forward. That to me is not the weakness, but if there were to be a critique of it, the problem of incremental accumulation of error, whether it be inbuilt in the item itself, the drill guide, or the use of it, which is 19% probably more likely. But the more you do, the more movements you do, the greater the chance of creating an error. This, depending upon the accuracy it was machined at, and remembering it's laser cut, it wasn't done by some fine, precise engineering type CNC machine for that specific purpose. And I also have an impact on its accuracy by what I do now in the workshop. So all those caveats included, if I can drill 16 holes, which is effectively almost the full length of this bench, in one position, I've got the greatest chance of getting at least that row accurate. Then when I swing it round, do the 3, 4, 5 method, etc., that row of holes will be my guiding set of reference holes. So, yay. The choice then is whether I do the first row along the edge of the table and then go out do the 3, 4, 5, or multiples of, which that's why I've got the long bars to do those big increments. So it would be not 3, 4, 5, it would be 6, 8, 10, or 9, 12, 15, so that's the idea behind getting them this size, or making them this size. That's one way of doing it, the holes along one edge. The other way, which I'm seriously contemplating, is make a row of holes through the center. Peter Parfitt made the comment that using his system requires you to wisely use it in a specific manner or sequence, and that helps to reduce or eliminate the user introduced accumulative errors. And I 100% agree. A very wise man is Peter, and he suggests starting a row through the center of the panel, and then you can radiate out from that. I think that's the way he was saying, pretty certain. And yes, and that's what struck me as, well, the reasoning behind it. And as I said, I agree. But with this, rather than do it through the center this way, do it through the center this way. So that's one placement of the bar in the centre, meaning I radiate out my positions, and I'm going to not halve the error but quarter the error. Yeah, pretty much. The idea being is if that's the full length of the bench that's got the holes in it, they're my reference holes. Forever will be. And then I can swing the bars around and do the 3-4-5 method and get as accurate as I can possibly get. That has an appeal. Or, and this is why I was introducing the or right, or earlier, I think I did, anyway, if I didn't. Or, find out where my bench dogs are going to go for the 90-degree position of the track saw, and make that the second set of holes, or that the position, come back 400, 500, whatever it is, and make the 3-4-5 method the second set of holes generate this at that point. That's meaning that the point of the track saw cut, which is what it's mainly going to be used for in the initial set out, that will be the most accurate, or I have the greatest chance of getting the greatest accuracy at that point where the saw is going to cut. Anything that generates from that is, how would you say, is if any accumulative error occurs, it's less and less critical, or it's most critical at that point, whichever way you want to view it or think of it. I like that idea. Plus, if I'd like to be able to keep, okay, I'm going to back, my logic is there, but I'm getting ahead of myself. These 5 bars can be cut to make up 3 sets of the 3-4-5. It can do a 3-4-5 with 3-4-5, and then it can do the 6-8-10, and then it can do the whatever it was, the 9-12-15. I can do it or get all 3 sets out of that one. What would be good though, and I should have done it, is to have got 2 lengths, got 6 lengths, so that I could keep 2 full length, and that would have been probably a lot more logical. So the question I'm posing to myself right now, because it's only just come to me very recently, do I cut make all 3 sets, or do I keep the 2 full length bars and then cut the other ones to make the other parts of the system? It's the question, and I've got no real answer yet, but it does seem to make sense that once you've got a bar with 15 or 16 holes but 15 spaces, it would be nice to be able to just having to think about that. No. It might not be actually a problem after all. So you're getting to see the inner workings of my mind, my thinking. Lucky you. With the set of holes down that way, that's set. The bar that created that can now be put across, or you can see where I'm going. It would be nice to have a bar that can be jumped across to do all those other holes in one placement. So the very first bar that gets used there is that bar that I can then set, jump across. So yay. Maybe I'll get all 3 sets done anyway. I'm going to have a fiddle. Before I do cut them down, I will do exactly what I'm talking about. Make up a whole bench of holes, or the panels that go on the bench, rather, and see what my thoughts are. Because I do like the idea of having smaller versions of that, and I do like the fact that I can make a big one. the 3 times. So the 9, 12, 15 version of it. I think that is a really good way of ensuring you reduce any incremental accumulative errors to the minimum. Anyway, I think you get that, don't you? Rightio, I better go back to doing some hole boring, and I'm just waiting for some of this glue to set up. I'll have a look at it. If I accept what I see, the shortcomings, like as I said, here, damn thing tilted, I'll just let it go. If not, I'll rip the damn things off and do it again. It's better for me to make that decision and do it now than regret it later on. So, oh yes, by the way, part of the problem was whether I dowel the base itself together, the stitching in and of dowel. I might do that anyway, regardless. A couple of the offcuts fell apart, but to be fair, I didn't use a lot of glue. I really didn't. I thought a little bit of glue and thin strips over a lot of area would hold. It didn't, but these bits have. I could snap them apart, but obviously they've held together. These ones ditto, and a big surface with a little pressure at any one position, with the lines of the glue over that whole area, it's going to hold. But what I'm concerned about is that there's some areas that are dry where I haven't put a lot of glue in, and it might over time delaminate. So it probably would be prudent for me to at least do a couple of dowel, stitching around the perimeter. So might do that, because after all, a little bit of extra work now is like the insurance that I'll have for not having to kick myself in the butt for not doing it. Rightio, that's it. That's my thoughts. Better get back to that drilling process. Okay. See you in the next update. Bye.